Good evening. I kind of forgot to turn phantom power on. That makes a difference. Anyway, let me readjust that. I made some changes to my audio today, so my levels are a little bit different. So I hope everybody has had the best weekend that you can. I hope you all found some areas that you could prepare. Maybe you got a little further ahead on that. Got several different things that I want to discuss tonight before we do headlines. Several different things that were news stories since I've last talked to you. And I just want to say I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on talking about this missile system that China had tested. But I want to preface this. I really want to make a strong point that we have to triage this information, okay? We have to look at information and we have to identify which is the more imminent threat, for one. And another thing that we need to do is we need to assess how much control we have over whatever it is. So, in the case of China's missile system they tested, I would not say that that's the most imminent threat that we need to be concerned with. So I want to preface this, with that. Number two, we have absolutely no control over whether or not they have these systems. So I really want to make a strong point of that, because I know a lot of people will run with the fear and stuff like that. And this is something to know about. This is something to consider in your preps. I would hope, and we need to get better prepared. There's a ton of stuff that we still need to get. We have nothing for radiological threats. Nothing. We don't have a gas mask. For both gas masks, I should say. I don't know if I should take a breath and hand it to her and she takes a breath. No, two. And one for the dog. We need one for the dog. But iodine tablets, all kinds of stuff. A simple Geiger counter. We don't have anything like that. It's an area that I would like to get, but it's not, I said that the whole triaging the threats thing. In my triage of those threats, those don't rank high enough on the list as to I better get on this now. In fact, where I'm at right now on the I better get on this, and I hope to hell that I get the funds to do it in time. They're like I found one for, it cost about $140 after tax. One of those heaters that I've been talking about, those diesel, they call them parking heaters. There's an 8 kilowatt flavor one that I think would do very well for keeping us alive if we lose power this winter. Our heat is electric. So if we lose electric, we have no heat at all and no way of producing heat. We rent. It's a small house, but nevertheless, we rent. We can't just put in a wood stove or anything like that, so that's not an option. And of course, there's a myriad of other options. There's kerosene heaters and all kinds of things that we could do in order to provide heat in case of an emergency. But I think these are a better approach, and the reason why is because they work very, very well. They work very, very efficiently, and if you look really into them, you will find out that there's people that run all kinds of stuff through them, not just diesel fuel. They ran anything from vegetable oil to used motor oil. They just thin it down just a little bit. All kinds of stuff, hydraulic fluid, all kinds of stuff has been reported to be ran through these. And I even just watched a video today that a guy had ran all that kind of stuff through it for 3 years before it quit working. And they simply pulled it apart, cleaned it out, put it back together, and fired it right back up. So that's enough of a testament to me. I have some experience working on a similar system. When I worked as a hydraulics mechanic, that was our heat in our shop. We essentially, not one of these units, but we had a much bigger unit that ran off of used motor oil. We had a bunch of people bring in their used motor oil and stuff like that. And we just dump it in a big old tank, and I'd have to fight that thing. Oh God, that thing was a pain in the butt. However, it was super old and had the hell used out of it, and they wouldn't put any money into it. So instead of just replacing lines and stuff like that because of all the gunk that was built up in them, I had to fight with constantly cleaning out clogged nozzles and whatnot. So my whole point is I'm familiar with similar type of heating systems. So to me, this is nothing but a win-win-win. So, sorry, I don't mean to go on a diatribe on heating, but I think it's something in my triage, so to speak, of threats, that is collectively all of ours, probably one of our biggest threats that I would say we are most likely to be looking at this winter. So if you don't have an alternative heat source, please take some time and try to come up with something. Am I? Oh, well, no, I'm pegging out up here, so am I low to everybody? If my volume is low to everybody, I can go much higher, but my meter that I'm looking at showing me right dancing at the bottom of that red. So anyway, let me go ahead and get on this topic on China. Now, this is nothing new. I've been talking about other countries having this capability. I can tell you on this show since 2016, because I can actually remember being trolled in my chat because people thought I was full of it when I said that other nations like China and Russia had ballistic missiles that could essentially just make our radar useless, and people laughed at me. They and I kept telling them, hey, pride goeth before the fall, and the crazy thing is I wasn't getting really any kind of inside information or anything like that. There were Pentagon officials making statements to this effect. All I was doing was paying attention and not allowing myself to be biased. And so this is essentially another report that you can garner a lot of information from if you allow it. And I would recommend that if it's within your capabilities financially and however many other ways, that you do have some preps for possible nuclear conflict. I don't think it would be anything the day after total annihilation. I think it would be a limited but tactical strike. And I do think that some big cities would go down, but I think that most of the country would probably fare out okay. I honestly see an event like that happening at some point. How far down the road, I don't know. I made a comment on the video I did earlier when I was talking about the, how, and there were several, I saw several channels make videos on these container, they're the container missile systems, and that they use the shipping containers for. And, oh, now I even forgot where I was going with that. Dang it. Because I was trying to think of what to call them. But anyway, all this type of stuff has been around for a while. It's not new. I was first alerted to most of the technology that I'm up to speed on, that like Russia and China has, because of what happened during the Clinton administration. During the Clinton administration, there was a whole bunch of secrets that they kind of got in the hands of the Chinese people, the Chinese government. And shortly after that, all of our stealth technology was pretty useless, and for the most part remains so today. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Hill. So anyway, now again we have an incident that happened, and I call it an incident, it was a test. And it really clearly defines the capabilities of another nation. And I've got an article up. I'm not going to read the entire article, but it's probably a good idea for you to read it. And I do have that article linked in the description of tonight's show. Pardon me, because it, like I say, I do see a little bit of a transaction, if you will. I really do. I really do. I don't think it'd go full scale. I think it'd be prove a point kind of thing. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I can give you my guess. My guess is that we will do something, but what we do will not be a conventional strike. This is my guess. This is my guess. What we do will be anything but conventional. Okay? And it will be one of those things to where you couldn't really prove it as to who did it, but it was something devastating. This is my guess. And then that will be their reply. That's how I see this going out. And I don't like that, but I look for patterns. And I know that involving war, we're really, really used to patterns of false flags. I don't think that's how this is going to shake out this time. I don't think that, well, for one, it's flipped. The whole situation's flipped. We really aren't the position of strength here. We absolutely are not. Before, we always had been. We were the position of strength. So, it didn't matter if we struck. We could back it up. Today, and I'm not putting down the United States, I'm just saying, we're not as equipped. Period. For decades, presidential administrations has held back our military capability in about every single way possible. I mean, look at what's going on today. Look at it. It's crazy. And I'm not putting down military members. I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about the change in policies. I'm not talking about the members. But we got way behind. We got way behind. And it is what it is. Let me bring this up here. This is the article that I have linked in the description. It's out of Forbes. Pardon me. And it says, China has tested a nuclear missile that can dodge American radars. China reportedly had tested an orbital vehicle that, fitted with a nuclear warhead, could strike the United States from the south, effectively evading many of the U.S. military's early warning radars. Financial Times journalists Dmitry Sevastopoulos and Catherine Hill first reported the August test of the Potential Fractional Orbital Bombardment System, or FOBS. As its name implies, FOBS launches like a traditional intercontinental ballistic missile and then enters a brief but stable orbit before deorbiting after just a fraction of a trip around Earth. Where a traditional ICBM briefly escapes the atmosphere as it predictably arcs towards its target over the North Pole, in the case of a Soviet or Chinese ICBM heading for the United States, a FOBS actually stays in orbit just long enough that, depending on its trajectory, it can streak toward a target from any of several directions. As many of the most powerful strategic radars are fixed and thus point in just one direction, a FOBS has great potential for an atomic sneak attack. The less warning a target country has of an incoming nuclear strike, the less likely its anti-ballistic missile defenses are to work. Thus, a FOBS is a kind of strategic remedy to ABM systems, and a daring one at that. Wow, Hans Christensen, a nuclear expert with the Federation of American Scientists in Washington, D.C., said of the Chinese, they're trying it all. And it talks about how the FOB system, it's not new, how the Soviets had worked with the system. I'm trying to see here. Okay, this here is talking about the launch. It says there were hints that the Chinese Communist Party had tested something sensitive. The China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, which oversees space launches on the party's behalf, on July 19th, announced it had launched its 77th Long March rocket. On August 24th, the Academy announced that it had launched the 79th rocket. The unmentioned 78th launch apparently boosted into low orbit a hypersonic glide vehicle that circled the globe before gliding back down to Earth and missing its target by a couple dozen miles, according to Sevastopoulos and Hill. So, I don't know if there's anything really. I mean, it's a pretty long article, and like I said, I do highly recommend you check it out. Links right there in the description. I looked at several articles involving this, and this one seemed like it was pretty well spelled out exactly what the system was, what happened. And it explains. It actually explains that our U.S. military is concerned with these types of systems. So, I think it's important to understand this stuff. Again, we have to triage it. We have to understand that there's nothing that we can do about this stuff other than prepare. And at the same time, like I want to make very, very clear. Our biggest threat is right here, right now. Our most imminent threat is within our own border right now. So I want to make that very clear. I'm careful. I don't want people to be distracted. I don't want them to take the eye off the ball. because we got a hell of a ball rolling at us. And, yeah, we don't want to get squashed by it. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that. I've got some other stories I want to talk about. Then we got a fair amount of headlines. I do have another one involving military, so to speak. Let me go ahead and switch back. Got this one here. Moscow summons U.S. military attache after Russian Navy intercepts American warship close to country's border in Sea of Japan. From my understanding, I think it was Russia and China was doing exercises, and we went tootling on into their territory. I really don't know what all the big deal is, as far as all the details. But I do know that, when they start summoning individuals about things, that it's on a level, and I'm not saying that, they're getting ready to start shooting, but it's something to be noted. And this is a continuing thing. So, need to keep our eye on this too. There's multiple countries that have kind of been taking pokes at Russia. And, Russia has been trying to tell all those countries that we're getting tired of getting poked. And, the last time that Britain had poked and was told try it again, FAFO, and they haven't FAFO'd yet. So, I'll just say that. So anyway, this is kind of stuff that we might want to keep an eye on too. Got another one here. School board group in Pennsylvania quits National Association for suggesting that angry parents are domestic terrorists. So, pushback on this premise that that people that believe in freedom, that people that believe in the rights to make choices for themselves and for their own children, are somehow bad. This is like bizarro world. It really truly is. But there is seemingly lots of pushback. Now, I'm sure that you've probably seen or heard of the viral video that's going around of the officer, I believe in Washington State. I believe he was a trooper there. And essentially quit his job, because of the mandates. And from my understanding, and forgive me if I'm incorrect on this, because I didn't actually dig into it, just letting you know. But from my understanding, they haven't enforced it in Chicago. In other words, whatever number of officers, X number of officers, didn't, fill out the information on their little portal thing, and they weren't told to go home when they showed up for duty. So that's where that's at, as far as I know. That's what I heard. Again, didn't look into it. Seems like I did see a headline somewhere, but I don't know that I shared it out. Kind of one of those things. I look at a lot of information, so. But there's, like I say, there's a lot of pushback. It's coming from, everywhere. So, hang in there, stand firm, and don't let them demonize you. Don't let them demonize you for thinking for yourself, for caring about yourself, for respecting yourself, and for, having the courage to draw that line. Let's see. One other thing that I did want to cover, and I've been telling you guys this for a little while now. This headline also, this came out today. The world will not shake off chip shortage for another 2 to 3 years, says China's Hisense. Now, if you recall, I said something about this not long ago, and I was sharing another headline with you that was saying that it would be sometime next year. And if you recall, and you most certainly can go back and look and call me out if I'm lying, I said then that that was incorrect. That at the very earliest it would be, what did I say, 2 to 3 years. But, and there was a but, I don't know that we're ever going to see it go back. And I'm still saying that but I'm also saying, yep, I was right on that call. And it's not like an I told you so thing or anything like that. I'm good at doing this stuff. I don't know what it is. I have no clue on some of it, how I can call it. But I just go with it. And most of the time, my gut's right. So anyway, I don't see, back to the more important part of this, I don't see things returning to the way it was. I don't think anyone alive right now will ever see it the way it was. And I don't mean to just be a Debbie Downer or anything like that. I'm just being honest with you. This is not any type of a good situation, and I'm optimistic about it, and that's how I encourage others to be. Try to figure out what you can do to mitigate the effects of hard times. Anything you can do. I mean, we're all going to have stuff thrown at us that we just don't have a clue of how the hell we're going to deal with it. But it doesn't mean that we won't figure it out. I'm just being honest with you. Just this chip shortage alone has massive, massive implications that we haven't even yet begun to see. I mean, kind of in some areas, but not on the fully out of it scale, not even remotely yet. We're getting there. Again, I don't see this returning, and the reason that I said then and that I'm repeating now that I don't see it returning is because I think the countries involved with making these chips are going to be in conflict. So I don't think there's going to be any exporting going on. And where's that put us? So, and if I'm correct on that, you're talking about no imports from Taiwan or China, or many of the other countries over there for that matter. So, again, I'm just trying to be realistic. Just a few things, I think, on our plate. Again, all we can do is triage it and do the best we can at addressing it. make sure we don't get distracted, and just move forward the best we can. Like I say, hit those areas. Find the areas that you most need to worry about, and focus on it. Make it a point to build those areas the best you can. But if you've got multiple areas that you're kind of hurting in prepping, then dance around. Work on one area the best you can, and move on to the next area and get at that the best you can, and just keep going back and just keep going around the different areas and improving what you have, until you've reached a point to where you feel it's sufficient. That's what we've done. There's some areas we hadn't been able to hit at all. But again, it's important for you to triage your situation and make that assessment. So, I think things are going to slide pretty quick. And I'm talking about the domestic things. I think things are going to slide pretty quick. I think shortages are really going to be... Well, as I've said, I think it was, if I can recall the words I used, how did I describe next month as being? I can't remember the word, but essentially, it's not something that you can't notice. I mean, it's something that's going to actually affect most of us, as far as we'll have to change up what we plan to make for meals because they won't have something that's a staple item, a common item. Chicken is, from my understanding, in some places that way. I know when we did our shopping, our grocery shopping, they didn't have the chicken that we normally get. So I had to substitute, and wound up costing more. And to be honest, I don't think it's debatable if it's any bit better. Any better. It's supposed to be better chicken, and I don't even know that it's better. So I think that there's going to be a whole lot of that come next month. I think this month. We're going to continue to see a very noticeable slide towards that. So, and that's just talking, local retailers and stuff like that. And I do think that things like electronics goods and stuff like that, I think you're really going to start seeing them taper off quickly. I don't know in a couple of months how much is still even going to be available. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. And in reality, I'm not even making any kind of a prediction with this. I'm just really, I'm thinking that we're going to see some really, really interesting stuff unfold here soon enough. I don't know why that's doing that. My website. Anyway, it's kind of weird. Let me think. I think that's pretty much... I'm going to go ahead and jump onto the headlines and get headlines out of the way and get the heck out of here, I think. You have a sip of coffee and a couple of vapes and... There was quite a few headlines. Well, I should say Friday. There was quite a few headlines. Yesterday, pretty small amount of headlines, really. And then Sundays usually aren't that too insane. Coffee, good. Alright, make it so, Captain. Let me have a couple vapes. The last of the pink starburst. So I'll be changing flavors in the morning. I've actually, I think I've cut down on vaping. Because I kid you not, I'm not vaping any more than about a tank a day. And that's not much at all. So, for whatever reason, I'm not even vaping as much. Works for me. Okay. I could just kick back and throw my feet up on the desk and we could scroll through and just look at the headline. No, I'm kidding. Alright. Former Boeing test pilot charged... This is, by the way, Friday's news. Former Boeing test pilot charged for deceiving regulators about 737 MAX safety to save money and not become the fall guy. Well, sir, I would say you failed. Russia gas transit through Ukraine will exceed required contractual volume, says the Energy Ministry. I don't know why that jumped. Let's see. Hashtag empty shelves Joe trend dominates Twitter as ships back up at ports and Biden administration blames Trump. However that works. I don't know. Loudoun County, I guess it's Loudoun. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But Loudoun County family to sue public schools over negligence in daughter's alleged restroom rape by gender fluid predator. Now, there's going to be another headline involving this that we'll be covering as well. Russia is not manipulating gas market to drive up cost, European Commission says, in response to claims Moscow plotted price rise. Pardon me. U.S. Navy to discharge sailors for refusing to be vaccinated for COVID-19 by November 28th deadline. Muslim convert charged with killing 5 in Norway, bow and arrow attack handed over to health services for assessment, prosecutors say. EU must make more concessions on Northern Irish part of the deal, Britain's Brexit minister insists. Multiple casualties reported after explosion at mosque gates in Afghanistan's Kandahar. Russian ruble climbs to highest against U.S. dollar since July 2020. Private COVID test lab suspended after possibly giving 43,000 UK residents incorrect results. New AUKUS anti-China alliance could spark global arms race, Moscow warns, as Beijing sounds alarm over West's Cold War tactics. Again, you know, this rhetoric is heating up. I honestly do feel that at a minimum, we are back to Cold War tensions. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. 56 arrested after South African ministers held hostage by military veterans demanding reparations for fight against white rule. Again, this is Friday's news I put out. Hundreds blockade Italian ports as mandatory COVID-19 passes come into effect for all workers. So that's happening in Italy. Moldova enters state of alert over natural gas shortage as, and I can't pronounce that, looks to sign new long-term contract with Russia's Gazprom. Bitcoin climbs closer to $60,000 on prospect of first exchange-traded fund. Germany says there'll be no more negotiations over Northern Ireland Protocol as UK demands relaxation of EU customs arrangement. Protests hit major European port of Trieste amid threats to block it completely over Italy's mandatory Green Pass. Pregnant women put at risk amid maternity staffing crisis at scandal hit NHS trust, a watchdog finds. Democracy is being tested. Polish PM hits out at Brussels, claiming it infringes on rights of member states. Tory MP David Ames stabbed several times during constituency meeting in Essex Church, and again this is Friday's news. South Africa to begin jabbing 12 to 17-year-olds with Pfizer COVID vaccine in bid to ramp up inoculation rate before exams. Migrant crisis in Lithuania, more than 10 asylum seekers kicked out of country for having ties to terrorists, Vilnius reveals. UK police would have opened fire on January 6 Capitol protesters, says producer of new documentary who directed Leaving Neverland. Medieval-style siege in central Berlin. German police moved to evict iconic left-wing Copy trailer camp. Aluminum prices soaring toward all-time high, reaching during 2008 financial crisis. Tory MP David Ames dies following knife attack at constituency meeting in Essex Church. Suspect arrested. Again, this was Friday. Moscow to become first major city on the planet with entirely electric transport as Russia's capital phases out diesel-fueled buses. Let's see. Traffic light coalition of Germany's SPD, FDP, and Greens takes shape after talks on core principles, including coal exit by 2030. Offices of Russian rights groups stormed by masked men and locked by police after airing film about Soviet Ukraine famine, says reports. Panama exhumes bodies from mass grave during search for victims of 1989 U.S. invasion, says the media. Sorry about that. My neck gives me fits, and that's how I kind of pop vertebrae around. I use my knuckle on my thumb, and yeah, it's only thing I can do to get relief. And it's just like nonstop. A U.S. lifting travel ban for foreign visitors until let me restart that. U.S. lifting travel ban for foreign visitors fully vaccinated against COVID-19 in November, says a White House official. Deadly bow and arrow attack in Norway likely linked to mental illness. The suspect is kept in psychiatric institution, says police. U.S. warship intercepted by Russian Navy while trying to sail into country's territorial waters, Moscow says, amid drills with China. That's what I was referring to a while ago. Again, Friday's news. Cyprus strips 45 passports obtained by investors and their families under cash for citizenship scheme. Virgin Galactic delays commercial spaceflight until late 2022, citing safety concerns around material strength margins. This is, that's actually my favorite one of them. Between Super Space Phallus, This one, and then the one by Musk. This one's my favorite. Branson's. I like this one the most. Bill Cosby accused of rape in new sexual assault lawsuit months after being released from prison. China launches second manned flight to Tiangong space station. I'm sure I said that wrong. As report reveals, more U.S. soldiers died from suicide than COVID. U.S. Major General complains Army won't allow her French manicure. Like I told you, policies and all of that are completely different than they used to be. U.S. supply chain chaos continues as press reveals Biden's transportation secretary Buttigieg has been on paternity leave for months. And I don't know if I say his name right or not. I don't really care. Marine who criticized America's chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal docked $5,000 in pay and given a letter of reprimand. Moscow summons U.S. military attache after Russian Navy intercepts American warship close to country's borders in Sea of Japan. International Space Station accidentally rotates 57 degrees mid-orbit while hosting director and actress filming milestone movie. Apparently they were doing tests on the spacecraft that was to return them to Earth, and so that's what threw it. I think the story is pretty much of a nothing burger. And, even the Russian cosmonaut was like, it's not really a big deal. But, let's see. Gender fluid student accused of raping teen in restroom was transferred to another school, records reveal, amid a cover-up scandal. So, and YouTube, just reading headlines. Let's see. Massive prison riot breaks out in Russia's southern city of Vladikavkaz, if I said that right, says reports. FDA panel gives nod to Johnson & Johnson booster COVID-19 jabs. U.S. Treasury Deputy Secretary warns unvaxxed Americans that shortages will continue until everyone is jabbed. And obviously I did a report on that one. A counterterrorism command police investigating if Tory MP's murder was an act of terrorism. Capitol Police officer charged with obstruction of justice for telling January 6 protester to delete incriminating Facebook posts. John Bolton blames Trump for COVID-19 deaths, laments Afghanistan withdrawal, and wants regime change in Iran in an RT interview. Well, you know what they say, you can want in one hand, and Parkland school shooter plans to plead guilty, but could face death penalty for killing 17 people. Netflix fires black pregnant woman who organized walkout protest against Dave Chappelle comedy special. U.S. Navy insists destroyer was on a routine mission after Russia summons military attache over Sea of Japan incident. Yeah, it's just a routine incursion, that's all. British police officially declare fatal stabbing of MP David Ames a terrorist incident. Let's see. Vaccine lotteries across 19 states had near zero effect on immunization rates, a new study finds. Armed activists shot by Kyle Rittenhouse during Kenosha riots sue city, county, and police for conspiring with vigilantes. As if. Chicago's mayor and police union duel in court over COVID-19 vaccine mandate as gun violence continues to careen out of control. Again, still on Friday's news. I should be getting pretty close to yesterday's news. A German state allows all businesses to ban unvaxxed customers, even for groceries and other essentials. You remember that part in that one book that talks about how you can't buy or sell? Let's see. Multiple people shot during high school football game in Alabama, causing spectators and players to flee in panic. Pentagon offers unspecified condolence payments for... the story with the football game started yesterday's news. Sorry. Okay. Pentagon offers unspecified condolence payments for 7 Afghan children and aid worker murdered in botched drone strike. You know, the one that they kept claiming was a ISIS-K bad guy, and it happened to be a good guy. That one. Russia's Kamchatka region will choose environment over profit, says their governor. Russia has nothing to gain by cutting off ties with Ukraine, but sadly, talking to Kiev doesn't help either. China's Shenzhou 13 craft successfully docks to Tiangong space station, and 3 astronauts enter the core module. Again, this is yesterday's news. Europe's imports of Russian goods soared 50% in 2021 despite lingering sanctions, says Eurostat. At least 3 killed as 4.8 magnitude earthquake hits Indonesia's tourist island of Bali. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Oh, man. And a vape. I didn't say that, but gonna have a vape too. Alright. ISIS claims responsibility for a deadly suicide attack on mosque in southern Afghanistan. Russia's daily COVID-19 death toll surpasses 1,000 for the first time since the start of the pandemic. Let's see. Russia ranks among world's largest Bitcoin miners. Britain to ramp up security for its lawmakers, Interior Minister says, following murder of MP David Ames. Failed former Health Secretary Matt Hancock loses UN Africa job just hours after celebrating the appointment online. Oops. NASA's Lucy mission blasted into outer solar system to study Trojan asteroids and planetary evolution. Regime change hawk John Bolton says Russia is making a big mistake by getting closer with China rather than Western powers. Well, of course that idiot would say that. A man arrested for allegedly raping woman on commuter train in Philadelphia as other passengers watched and did nothing. Yeah, apparently nobody did anything. And when, I don't know if it was the conductor but one of the employees on the train saw it happening and called police. No, everybody just stood there and did nothing. I can't even imagine. What kind of a helpless, hopeless society have we become? I'm not speaking to you. I'm just saying. Let's see. Australian cop slammed for checking man's beverage to verify his excuse for not wearing a COVID-19 mask. Yeah, literally checked to make sure that he had a drink in his in his cup. School board group in Pennsylvania quits National Association for suggesting angry parents are domestic terrorists. We talked about that. Soyuz capsule with Russian crew behind first space movie successfully lands in Kazakhstan. And we're on to today's news, what I started put on this morning. Global public debt hits record high of $88 trillion, says the IMF. Russian gem miner boosts output of 23.3 million carats. We talked about that one. Russia's non-resource-based exports will reach historic highs in 2021. Let's see. Facebook and Twitter recommendation algorithms could be deactivated under new plans from Russian lawmakers. Armed gang kidnaps up to 17 American Christian missionaries, including children, in Haiti, says reports. El Salvador is set to use wide range of renewable energy for cryptocurrency mining, country's hydroelectric commission says. Russia to boost coal supplies to India amid global power crunch. U.S. students accused of hypocrisy as they back diversity quotas unless it comes to college football team. British propaganda campaign incited mass slaughter of communists in Indonesia in the 1960s, declassified papers reveal. Oh yeah, that's a song. I shared it out earlier today. The name of the artist is Loza. That's Loza Alexander. Loza Alexander. And the name of the song is called Let's Go Brandon. And the cat's almost got 1 million views on it already. And I think he put it out the 10th or something like that. But I can't remember the date on it. Hang on. I can't play it because I'm sure it's copyrighted to hell and back. It's got 838,000 views currently. And it was put out on the 10th. So, yeah. Make music great again. Let's Go Brandon. Incredible tune. Incredible tune. Let's see. Veteran state trooper forced out for refusing COVID jab and signs off for the last time by telling the governor to kiss my ass. Sorry. I kind of had to play the part, I guess. France's ambassador ordered out of Belarus leaves before Monday deadline, says reports. America's supply chain crisis will drag into 2022, Pete Buttigieg tells CNN, taking brief break from his paternity leave. China says U.S. and Canada colluded to stir up trouble by sending warships through Taiwan Strait. Let's see. Quick-thinking Moscow metro train driver stops in a split second after man jumps onto the tracks. Kamala Harris props up Virginia candidate with ad played at churches as conservatives decry illegal trick. And I've got kind of another aspect just to throw out there on this. What kind of church would be promoting Kamala Harris? I'm just wondering, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I'm sure there are. Don't misunderstand me. I'm sure there are. Fauci gives his blessing, and I'm sure that you're all going to be relieved by this and thankful. You're going to be thankful, I'm sure. Fauci gives his blessing for Americans to enjoy Christmas and Thanksgiving with their families if they're vaccinated. So if you're not vaccinated, no family for you. No. I'm not quite sure how he's going to enforce this or what the penalty is going to be. But I'm sure everybody is on pins and needles waiting to find out. Let's go Fauci. Anyway, that's it. That's all the headlines I've got for you. I'm going to sneak out the back door. Not really, but I'm going to get the hell out of here and relax the rest of the evening. So, I've been trying to keep up on it as much as I possibly can. Anyway, I am out of here. I hope you all have a good evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.